Hi, my name is Kevin Hill and welcome to the San Benito Southern Railroad here in Hollister, California. We started construction here in 2005 and it's been an ongoing process ever since. They're never completely done. We have a lower loop here that represents the standard gauge transition era when there was still steam present but diesels were starting to make their first appearances. We have our upper loop, which represents the logging railroading of the same period. And being an amateur Disney historian, I've included a few little Disney connections in the layout. And we use DCC as a control system, which is kind of rare in the garden railroad hobby. You don't really see it as much out here. It's more common in the smaller gauges indoors. We're going to start in the town of Tres Pinos here on our lower loop and take a look at some of the standard gauge operations. You'll notice the movie theater in the town features movie posters that are all of the Disney films that were released around the period that we're modeling here. This is our maintenance facility. As you can see, it's blue flagged. We have to be legal with the FRA about. This is the only tunnel on the layout. It's constructed of 3 concrete blocks that we've cemented together, and we finished it off with these Aristocraft portals.
Welcome to Salinas. Have a nice day. Thank you. Acting. Welcome aboard. Ticketed passengers only. Let me help you with your bag. Porter. Thank you.
Now departing for San Francisco on track 1, train number 99, the Morning Daylight.
Pardon me. Step right this way. Let's get that baggage loaded. Watch your step, please. Thank you. All aboard.
All right, add some blowers, force the fire.
280. You got plenty of sheets.
Highball!
Conductor's giving us the highball signal.
This is the Never Mine, our dolomite mine here on the railroad. I recently came through and rebuilt all the portals on the mine shafts with lumber that I harvested from the Capitola trestle on the Santa Cruz and Monterey Bay Railway. It's vintage Southern Pacific lumber, and it's coated with creosote, so if you're standing in just the right location, you get a little whiff of creosote and it adds some realism to the layout out here. The Never Mine is located in the town of Grizzly Flats. This is the Grizzly Flats Depot that's modeled after Disney animator Ward Kimball's full-size Grizzly Flats Depot that he had on his backyard railroad, the Grizzly Flats Railroad. The telegraph that you're hearing is the recording from New Orleans Square Station at Disneyland that's actually tapping out Walt Disney's dedication speech to Disneyland. This is our moonshiner cabin. It's located right along the logging main line. The still up front was made out of some parts that were collected from hobby shops that are intended for doll houses. They were originally pots and pans that I took the handles off of and soldered them together, and took a piece of copper wire and kind of spooled it around to make the evaporator, and it came out pretty good. The cabin itself was hand built, and I took it and super detailed it and kind of added it here to the layout, and I think it fits in pretty nicely. The banjo that you're hearing is the banjo from Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, in the segment as you're floating through the bayou, and there's a old man playing his banjo on his little dock. The sound system is a CD player that's hidden and runs to a little speaker, and it just sits there and plays on repeat all day long. I found that was a very easy way to add little sound effects to the buildings here on the railroad. So we actually produced the sound effects in the Grizzly Flats Depot with the same method. This is the Dark Creek sawmill, where all of the lumber that's logged out of the area is cut down into boards. The siding in the distance is where the logs are offloaded to the sawmill to be cut. This is our little river. At the base of the river, underground, we have a 30-gallon tank that holds all the water with a submersible pump in it. The water gets pumped to the top of the hill through a 1-inch hose that then splits off into a piece of PVC pipe that we cut a slat in to evenly spread the water out across the top of the river and make a sheet rather than just water coming out of a hose. Having the tank underground makes it very nice, because when we turn the river off, there's no standing water for any mosquitoes to lay their eggs in, and we don't have a mosquito problem. This area of the railroad's pretty interesting because we have a tight loop with an 8% upgrade coming around. These trestles were custom built by another member of the Bay Area Garden Railway Society, Bob Elia, and they were actually built on site because of the interesting shape of them. He wasn't able to build a jig at his shop. He actually had to come out here and build them on site. This is our 2-foot gauge hand car that we have on display here in the yard. We built this pretty much from the chassis up. It started life as an apricot car that they had back in the apricot orchards in the old days to take the apricots into the drying houses. We modeled it loosely on the Kalamazoo hand car at Disneyland. We have various pieces of railroadiana on display around the car. One of these is a Central Vermont Railway water jug, and that's particularly special to me because both my great-great-grandfather and my grandfather both worked for the Central Vermont out of St. Albans, and my grandfather actually knew the gentleman whose name is on the crate. for the water jug. Well, thanks for watching, and as you can see, you don't need a huge amount of space to have a lot of fun with a garden railroad, and we'll leave you with some freight operators.